All right, good afternoon. We're going to switch things around a little bit. We'll start with our guests because I'm still waiting for some material to come in to me. So we are delighted to be joined, as you know, by David Gressly, who is our UN Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator for Yemen. And he's here to update you on the situation in Yemen and the tanker and everything else. David, welcome, please.
Thank you.
It's on.
It's on. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good to see everyone here, and looking forward to the exchange. Really, I wanted to speak primarily about the FSO Safer tanker, which I know has been in the news frequently over past years, and give you an update on where I think we are on trying to solve that particular problem. We know that there's a lot of competing stories right now, many with bad news, but my team has been working very hard with others over the past 6 months to defuse what's aptly been called a time bomb sitting off Yemen's Red Sea coast. I'm optimistic that the Safer will end up as a positive news story. We have a new United Nations coordinated plan to address the imminent threat of a major oil spill from the Safer. If it were to happen, the spill would unleash a massive ecological and humanitarian catastrophe centered on a country already decimated by more than 7 years of war. The environmental damage could affect states across the Red Sea. The economic impact of disrupted shipping would be felt across the region. The plan, which I will outline for you, has the support of the parties to the conflict and other key stakeholders. Senior UN management and members of the Security Council are also supportive, but we're not there yet. Without funding over the next 6 weeks or so, the project will not begin on time, and this time bomb will continue to tick. My particular concern is really we need to finish this operation by the end of September to avoid the turbulent winds and currents that start in the latter part of the year, in October, November, December, increasing the risk of a breakup and also increasing the risk in conducting any operation. So timing is tight. In March, a UN-led mission to the Ras Issa Peninsula, near to where the Safer is anchored, confirmed that the 45-year-old supertanker is rapidly decaying. It is at imminent risk of spilling a massive amount of oil due to leakages or an explosion. Just as an example, normally the inert air that is used to inhibit explosions has long disappeared. The systems that produce that inert air are no longer functioning. So an explosion is much more likely. In 1988, the Safer was converted into a floating storage and offloading facility, an FSO, and brought to where it is today. It holds over 1 million barrels of oil, 1.1 million to be exact, 4 times the amount of the Exxon Valdez spill. Production, offloading, and maintenance operations on the Safer halted in 2015 because of the war, and the vessel is now beyond repair. A significant spill would devastate fishing communities on Yemen's Red Sea coast. 500,000 people working in the industry there have 1.7 million dependents. 200,000 livelihoods could be instantly wiped out by a spill. Whole families would be exposed to life-threatening toxins. A major oil spill would likely close, at least temporarily, the ports of Hodeidah and Sarif. These are essential to bring in food, fuel, and life-saving supplies. 17 million people are food insecure in Yemen already as we speak. The environmental impact on water, reefs, and life-supporting mangroves would be severe. Saudi Arabia, Eritrea, Djibouti, and Somalia are also at risk. Cleanup costs are estimated to cost approximately $20 billion. It does not count the cost of environmental damage across the Red Sea or the billions that could be lost due to disruptions to shipping through the Bab el-Mandab Strait, which is also a passageway to the Suez Canal. Think of the Ever Given. The good news is that the United Nations has a viable plan to address the threat. The plan is supported by the government of Yemen. In Aden, as you know, I signed a memorandum of understanding with the Sana'a-based de facto authorities which control the area where the vessel is located. The Memorandum of Understanding established a framework for cooperation in which the Sana'a-based authorities have committed to facilitating the success of the project. The plan includes 2 tracks: installation of a long-term replacement vessel for the FSO Safer, within a target period of 18 months once we mobilize the resources, and a 4-month emergency operation to eliminate the immediate threat by transferring the oil to a safe temporary vessel. The Safer and the temporary vessel would remain in place until the oil is transferred to the permanent replacement vessel, at which point the existing Safer would be towed to a yard and sold for salvage. The cost. The 2 tracks of the operational plan will proceed simultaneously. Raising funds for both is critical to deliver a sustained solution to the threat. The technical work to establish the costs associated with an appropriate replacement vessel are well underway. We should have that cost soon. We have also established the cost for the emergency operation at approximately $80 million. This includes the salvage operation, the lease of a very large crude carrier to hold the oil, and crew and maintenance for 18 months, the period of time required to get a replacement in place. We have also provided handouts that give you more details. Next week, I'll lead a mission to donor capitals in the Gulf region to discuss the plan and seek their support. The Kingdom of the Netherlands, which is a critical stakeholder in support of the UN's effort, will host a pledging event in the coming weeks, in the month of May. The plan's success hinges on donor commitments of funds now to begin work by the beginning of June. Waiting beyond then would mean delaying the start of the project by several months, leaving this time bomb continued to tick. That's why I'm reminding the world of the imminent threat posed by the FSO Safer, highlighting the viable UN coordinated plan to address it, and stressing that we will not succeed without urgent funding. Then just a couple of comments on other issues related to Yemen. Obviously, the recent announcement of the truce is very welcome, not only for improving the humanitarian situation on the ground, but also it creates a conducive environment for the operation I've just discussed. So I'm happy things are moving in that direction, and we will continue to support the efforts of the UN Special Envoy in moving forward with the peace process there. In many ways, the humanitarian situation will not end until the war ends. It's extremely important that this process succeed. And then finally, I will be happy to take any questions you might have on the humanitarian situation. We are looking to raise over $4 billion this year to meet the needs of the people of Yemen. It declines, the welfare of the people decline every year, and the needs increase every year. The funding, however, is hard to maintain. We have received $1.3 billion out of the $4+ billion that we're seeking. And then just a couple of days ago, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia announced an additional $300 million to that 1.3. So we're still at 1.6 billion, which is a start, but it's not the full requirements that we need to meet the needs of the people of Yemen. Peace is necessary, but we also need to keep people alive and in a dignified way as that peace process goes forward. So I think I'll conclude with that, but I'm happy to take questions as well on the humanitarian situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Edie?
David, thank you very much on behalf of the United Nations Correspondents Association. Welcome. Thank you for doing this briefing on an issue which we've all followed very closely. I'm Edith Lederer from the Associated Press. Could you give us, when you're talking about a replacement vessel, are we talking about tens of millions, over 100 million? Is there some sort of
Range?
guesstimate that you can give us? And more importantly, on this possibility of an explosion, and you talk about, you know, a ticking time bomb, how worried are you that all of this could happen before this this process of transferring oil gets through? Thanks.
Thank you.
Please, David.
Yeah. The replacement vessel, I want to be a little cautious because we don't want to affect the market value of such a vessel, but it would probably be in the order of magnitude of, let's say, $25 million. So just to give you an order of magnitude, but that would be, that will have to be based on market prices as we go forward. And just a piece of information to go with that, what's required is to get a used vessel that probably is no longer appropriate for transport of oil, but still suitable for a storage facility, but it'll have to be modified because there's a large piece of equipment that's attached to the bow that attaches it to the pipeline, basically. And that's what takes the 18 months. Otherwise, we would have gone straight to that. So just give that little detail in addition. On the issue of am I worried, I'm extremely worried that it will break up or explode as we speak. It's the team that went to Ras Issa last month confirmed with discussions with people on the ground that the vessel is deteriorating and they remain quite concerned. There is a skeleton crew on board of about a half a dozen crew members that do try to keep the vessel going, and I think they've done actually quite heroic work over the years to keep this thing from falling apart. But there's a limit to what they can do with the hardly any resources that they have. And as I mentioned, the explosion possibility is very real. There are no inert gases inside the chambers that hold the, and therefore it becomes the opportunity for flammable explosion is quite real. The other issue, of course, is just the breakup of the vessel, and that's why I worry particularly about the months of October, November, December. When the currents become more active, the probability rises considerably that the breakup would happen at that point in time. So the window really is now. We might get lucky again, like we've been lucky in the past, but as we know, luck runs out at some point. Thank you.
Thank you. Philippe Rater, AFP.
Thank you very much for this briefing. Can you be a little bit more precise about the donor meeting? You say May, but can you tell us, not the day, but is it the end of May, beginning of May, middle of May? Is it the Netherlands who are going to organize it? And the amount you are looking for this donor meeting is $25 million or more?
We will be looking initially for at least $80 million to do the initial operation. What we need are firm commitments for that. UNDP I haven't mentioned, but they will be doing the procurement. The procurement is ready basically now to go forward. It just needs the funding. So once the funding is available, they can start the actual work. And they don't need the cash in hand so much as they need a firm commitment that the money will be coming. So that's all that's really required at this point. The date, we've just had discussions with the Netherlands, who would like to co-host this with the United Nations. I hesitate to give a date. I know what they're suggesting, but I would like them to announce that date. But it'll be in the first half of May.
Thank you.